when on April 25th, 1710, two brothers came from Harlem, New York by the name of Barrett and Resolvert Nagel. Barrett and Resolvert Nagel purchased 1,030 acres of land. Everything from the Tennekill Brook in the center of town by Tennekill School by the library to the Hudson River from Closter Dock Road to Palisades, New York.
Wow.
A nice chunk of real estate.
Yes.
They purchased the 1,030 acres for about $10 an acre in modern dollars. Now, when the brothers purchased their land in 1710, they settled upon it and they started intermarrying with other people that came in on the not the brothers, but their relatives and children and so forth. It's been a long day. Anyway, the brothers, when they were here, their family started to grow with new people moving in, tenant farmers and so forth and everything else. And the children started having children and so forth. But when the two brothers purchased the land, in 1745, some other people started moving in the vicinity, so they created a survey of their land on the border between their property and the northern boundary. And there's a map from 1745 that shows this house, or the house next door, which is not fully intact anymore, and then 119 Hickory, which is the egg farm, which many people know. Those three houses were on the map, and then there were two on Harvard Street. Only one still exists today. It's known as the John Nagel House, or John Nagel House on Harvard Street. This house, if you look at the doorway where the nice lady is standing, that doorway and where the soldier is standing in front of is the 1745 portion of the house. The remainder of the house, including the large gambrel roof, was an addition to the house by Isaac Nagel around the time of the American Revolution. So, you're looking at a house primarily pre-1745 with a Revolutionary War time period addition. So about 34, 50 years later, thereabouts, you know. Not much unlike we are with our houses here, you know. When the new generation moves in or the new owner comes in, they start to make changes, and that's what happened with this one. Now, we do know historically that many of the houses in Closter were raided by the British. This house is one of them. So what we will be creating here on this site today is an actual recreation of an actual event. The number of casualties, the number of troops is all basically right in line with what happened exactly here during the American Revolution. Now, of course, we would have loved to have reenacted something from 300 years ago, but there wasn't much happening other than the fact that the two brothers came in here, found a wilderness, and started carving out a life for themselves. Closter is an amazing town with a fantastic history. There are more pre-1745 houses in Closter than anywhere else in Bergen County. It also has just about the largest number of stone houses in Bergen County than any other town. Franklin Lakes claims they have more, but we know that there's one more here in Closter, so we're equal. So there. Closter was a land that had some patriots and had some Tories during the time of the Revolution. The Tories left, their lands were confiscated, so Closter was primarily a patriot area. The individuals that were here were living in a no man's land between the British Army and the Americans, and so one week the British would come in, steal everything you have, and then the next week the Americans would come in and politely ask and give you worthless currency. So either way, you were left with nothing.
It's like today, the same.
Yes. Now, I'm 11th generation to the original settlers. My name is Tim Adriance. My great-grandfather was born here in Closter, right across from the Peking Duck restaurant on Piermont Road in a little white house, and his name was Jacob Arianson when he was first born. They changed the name back to the original family name, which was Adrianson. And if you haven't had an opportunity, later on afterwards you can go up and see the old family cemetery where we have 5 Revolutionary War soldier graves identified. There are probably 2 more, which would be my 9th generation back grandfather and my 8th generation back grandfather, but the stones no longer exist. We do have some great records from all different time periods, you know, starting from 1710. I encourage you this afternoon, while it's still open, to go down to the Belsky Museum, which is right next to the library here in Closter. There's an exhibit on the settlement of Closter where the family has their original documents, including the family Bible from 1718, documents of all the land transactions, inventories, and actual items. For example, if you look at the house, if you look to the left, you see that nice, beautiful big window with the 12 lights of glass over 8. The original sash, the original upper 12-light sash, is on display at the museum today. And also the spinning wheel, the walking wheel that used to be in the basement of this house, is also on display there. And I also invite you at some point to take a look from the street of 119 Hickory. And while you're here, you can also see the house next door, both of which are on the 1745 map. Then, as you're traveling around Closter, take note of our other historic resources within the town. It's not just the pre-revolutionary and the revolutionary, post-revolutionary wartime period houses that are important, but if you go over towards West Street, there are a number of Victorians. Also, the downtown has a fantastic resource of architecture, which is all part of the heritage and uniqueness of the town, which was originally called Closter. Yes, it was called Closter. K-L-O-O-S-T-R, Closter, which in Dutch means a quiet, restful place. So if we're real quiet for a second. It's a quiet, restful place. For the moment, because he's here.
Are we ready, Mr. Adriance? We are. Your Honor, are we ready?
I just want to welcome everyone on behalf of the Borough of Closter.